I went around Singapore to eat at the best steakhouses on the island, and this was what I learned. Steaks are so expensive. Oh my god, they're so expensive. For something that is so easy to cook, they have a crazy premium. You might think, Eldrick, that's because you know how to cook. No, I'll show you. Just like what my experience with women has taught me, if you don't have skill, just don't use skill. I.e., instead of actually being good and controlling the heat and the doneness, just don't be good. First, we control the doneness of the steak to be roughly about 3.5 cm, and then we fix the cooking oil to be peanut oil, because we want something with a high smoking point. From here on is cake. Pan on, medium to medium high heat, look for the oil to just start smoking. While your pan is heating up, dry your steak with paper towels and season it, and then in it goes. Sizzling sound, press down and look for one side to get color. If you are scared, you can use tongs. Flip and wait for the other side to get color, and then out. And then we are done. Now, because we have control for all the different factors, I will bet you 1 like and 1 subscribe that the inside is medium rare going... Ooh, that's kinda overdone, huh? I'll just take the subscribe then. Obviously, there can be many other techniques like basting with butter, dry brining, tying the butcher's twine, or simply going for another doneness. You will learn to pay attention to those, amongst other things, as you cook more steaks. Things like, when it comes to ribeye or cuts that have like chunks of fat on them, put a little bit more extra salt and like really press it against the heat, right? It will turn out crispy and really delicious. Under the crispiness, there will be that liquid rendered fat that will be so delicious. Even if you're an absolute beginner, going with this hack should lend you pretty good results. But more importantly, save you a ton of money. This whole cut was a 650 gram USDA prime ribeye. Take a guess how much it costs. Go ahead. And this isn't like a discounted or special price. You can get this price almost anywhere. You might even get it cheaper if you know a guy. Whereas a USDA prime half this size cost me 118 at Woolloomooloo and 140 at Bar-roque. That's why I said at the start that this series is more about seeing what other people are doing that you cannot do at home. Because what you can do at home is already pretty good. The second thing I learned was the world of dry aging. I had my first few dry aged steaks this series and it was very surprising to me how not juicy they were. Some people even told me that Wolfgang Steakhouse screwed up my steak, that the funk shouldn't be so strong. If it is, it might have been spoiled. Huh? You mean to tell me that the world famous steakhouse got it wrong? That my $235 60 days dry aged USDA prime ribeye was a bad piece and I gave them 3 steaks? I couldn't sleep. I needed closure. So, I approached a dry aged steak specialist, Maturo, to seek some answers.
Hey, how are you doing?
Hi.
You're the guy?
Yeah.
Hey, how are you doing?
Nice to meet
Victor,
you.
nice
Yeah.
meeting you. Come on in, mate.
The owner, Victor, gave me a quick introduction to the place, and I kid you not, a 1.5 hour lecture on the world of dry aging. I love talking to subject matter experts. You learn so much. I used to think that the longer you dry something, the more funky it will be because there is more spoiling. But Victor told me, nay, Victor proved to me that that wasn't true. He allowed me to sample a variety of dry aged steaks, from Australian Wagyu to Galician beef, from 21 days dry aged to 270 days dry aged. It was a treat. But my biggest surprise was that none of them, even the most intense of them, had any off flavors. A kid could eat it, quite literally, because Victor told me that his kids and some of his customers' kids actually prefer dry aged beef because they are more tender. Man, in my next life, I don't want to be a silver spoon kid, I want to be a dry aged beef kid. Anyway, he continued to explain that there were many interaction effects amongst cattle species, country of origin, butchering method, dry aging method, humidity. Some cuts can reach a very intense funk with 21 days, whereas others actually mellow out over a longer period of time. So, coming back to the big question, was I scammed? The answer is no, but maybe yes. The intense funk that I had was brought about by extreme spoiling, which you don't really want during dry aging, because 1, you might risk losing the whole piece of meat, and 2, the resulting flavour is too strong, so you lose out a lot of the other subtle flavours. But this is the industry standard. If you go and order dry aged beef from a restaurant, chances are you will get something like this, and it's not wrong. However, the world of flavour that dry aging can bring is way beyond just that blue cheese funk. It's definitely a world I want to explore. As soon as, you know, my YouTube can sponsor more than just my bus money. I also asked Victor, are dry aged steaks supposed to be less juicy? Since the ones I got at Wolfgang's and Asap & Co were kinda dry, although they were cooked well. Victor told me, go find it on your own. He handed me a 55 days dry aged USDA prime ribeye, a very similar cut to the one I had at Wolfgang's. And bing, bam, boom, I would say not any less juicy than a normal cut. What do you guys think? This steak was very interesting. His team dry aged this with orange monin, and the resulting steak actually tasted sweet, with a mandarin orange accent to it. It actually made it taste very alike char siu. It's very fascinating how dry aging can make steaks taste so different. And finally, after eating all those steaks, the last thing I learned is how I like my steaks. I like them how I like my women. Thick and Asian. I don't actually, I'm just saying it for the punchline. Because today we are making 姜葱牛肉饭, or stir-fried beef with spring onions and ginger. First, we are simply going to infuse some peanut oil with chopped spring onions, 3 slices of ginger, and some smashed garlic for good measure. Nice medium-low heat, 25 minutes, we don't want anything to burn. Once the aromatics are wilted, drain that out. Then we are going to pour an excess amount of oil to fry our steaks. 2 reasons. 1, I want more of the aromatic flavour to latch. And 2, the oil gives good contact to the steak, so I get a nice even crust. Speaking of steak, we are using a 270 days dry aged Australian Wagyu strip loin. Literally 3 trimesters in the dry ager. And here we are making 姜葱牛肉饭. Give the steak the bing, bam, boom, making sure to sear the fat cap and not start a grease fire. Steak out and torch. I want a perfect crispy brown crust with burnt accents. And then we're gonna pair the steak with the best accompaniment which I never got in the entire series. White rice. Having some carbs to absorb that meaty, fatty flavours of steaks cannot get any better. You usually get some roasted potatoes or mashed potatoes of some sort, but I don't think that absorbs the steak flavours as well as white rice. Steak on, garnish with finely chopped spring onions, red chili flakes, and a crispy fried egg fried in the leftover oil and rendered dry aged beef fat. And then we are done. Hits! Incredible dry aged flavour. I was actually worried that the aromatic oil might drown out the dry aged flavour, since things like spring onions and ginger are very good at removing flavour. But it might be the other way around. I actually taste less of the aromatics and more of that powerful dry aged beef flavour. Hit number 2, having rice with steak is so good. Misses! Pretentious as hell. Who the hell uses dry aged steak for 姜葱牛肉饭? Who let this guy cook? Service was so subpar. I had to wait until the beef was cold before I could eat because of something called B-roll. Unacceptable. Verdict. This place gets 1 steak. I cannot imagine leaving my house for this. And that's all I have for you guys this time. Shout out to Maturo for sponsoring all of the dry aged steaks in this video. If you want to find out more about dry aged steak, I highly recommend visiting them. Next week, we'll be starting our new series, so be sure to click on the bell so that you don't miss a single upload. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!